11:52 p.m. A city, somewhere in America. Present day. A phone buzzes on a nightstand, then another, and another. By midnight, it won't stop. A video is spreading. 31 seconds long. It shows a face everyone recognizes. A public figure, mid-sentence, saying something monstrous. Something that will end a career, maybe a marriage, maybe a life. There's just one problem. It never happened. No one in this story said those words. No camera was ever in that room. The voice, the face, the room itself, all of it built, pixel by pixel, by a machine that had never met the person it was destroying. And by the time anyone proves that, it won't matter, because the video has already done its job. This is the story of how synthetic media stopped being a novelty and became a weapon. This is the story of the people who built the tools, the people who weaponized them, and the people whose lives were caught in between. This is where things get interesting. Every weapon starts as a tool. Rewind 5 years. In research labs from California to Beijing, a quiet revolution is happening. Engineers are training neural networks to do something that used to belong to science fiction. Generate a human face, frame by frame, that has never existed, or worse, recreate one that has. The technology has a name that sounds almost playful: deepfake, a blend of deep learning and fake, born from academic curiosity, refined in open source communities, released piece by piece into the world. At first, it's a novelty. Actors' faces swapped into movies they were never in. Historical figures brought back to deliver speeches they never gave, for museum exhibits and classrooms. The technology feels like magic, the good kind, but every tool built for creation can be repurposed for destruction. And this one is cheap, fast, and getting better every month. By the early 2020s, what once required a Hollywood visual effects studio and a 6-figure budget can be done on a laptop in an afternoon by someone with no training at all. Voice cloning software needs only seconds of audio, a voicemail, a podcast clip, a wedding toast posted to social media, to reconstruct a person's voice well enough to fool their own family. The barrier to entry hasn't just lowered, it's collapsed. They didn't know what was coming. Governments are slow to react. Platforms are slower. And into that vacuum steps a new kind of actor, not a nation state, not a criminal syndicate, but something harder to predict. Anyone with a grudge, an agenda, or a profit motive, and an internet connection. The system made one fatal mistake. It assumed video was proof. For over a century, a photograph or a recording carried a kind of courtroom authority. Seeing was believing. Juries convicted on video evidence. Reporters ran stories because the tape didn't lie. That assumption is now a liability. Across the world, a pattern starts to repeat. A political candidate, days before an election, appears in audio making an inflammatory concession they never made. A CEO seems to announce a merger that was never real, and the company's stock swings within minutes before anyone can issue a denial. A finance employee at a multinational firm receives a video call from who appears to be the company's own CFO, instructing an urgent wire transfer. Every face on that call is real. Every face on that call is fake. By the time the fraud is discovered, tens of millions of dollars have already moved across borders. Untraceable. These aren't hypotheticals. Cases like these have already happened, documented by law enforcement, covered by financial regulators, cited in congressional testimony on AI fraud. But that was just the beginning. The financial attacks are calculated. The personal ones are worse. For private citizens, a teacher, a student, a local coach, a fabricated video doesn't need to fool a bank's compliance department. It only needs to fool a neighbour, a school board, a group chat. Once it's screenshotted and forwarded, the technical truth stops mattering. The damage is social, immediate, and often irreversible before a single fact-checker gets involved. Ask the question no one wants to answer. How do you prove a negative? How do you prove you didn't say something the whole internet just watched you say? Digital forensics teams. Some inside universities, some inside three-person startups, begin racing to build detection tools. They look for the tells: unnatural blinking patterns, mismatched audio-visual timing, digital artifacts invisible to the human eye, but visible to a trained algorithm. For a while, it works. Then, the generation models improve again, and the detectors fall a step behind. What happened next changed everything. It's an arms race with no finish line, and the people caught in the crossfire don't get to wait for it to end. A platform, a courtroom, a decision that would ripple for years. By the mid-2020s, the volume of synthetic fraud and non-consensual fabricated content has grown too large to ignore. Regulators start moving. In the United States, lawmakers introduce legislation, including proposals like the Deepfakes Act, aimed at giving individuals a legal right over their own voice and likeness. So a fabricated version of a person's face or voice can be treated legally as theft of identity. Platforms, facing pressure from advertisers and lawmakers alike, begin rolling out detection systems and mandatory labeling for AI-generated content. Some succeed. Many don't, because detection technology, like the fraud it's built to catch, is a moving target. Meanwhile, court cases start to test an old legal system against a new kind of harm. Judges who have spent careers weighing physical evidence now have to weigh evidence that might not be evidence at all. Expert witnesses, forensic video analysts, become as critical to a trial as the eyewitnesses they're increasingly asked to corroborate or contradict. Here is the twist most people miss. The public conversation focuses on the deepfakes that get caught, but the more corrosive effect is quieter: the liar's dividend. Once a society knows convincing fake video exists, real footage becomes deniable too. Guilty parties caught on genuine, unaltered recordings can now claim, "That's not real, that's AI." The technology doesn't just create false realities, it gives cover to escape true ones. It's no longer just about what's fake, it's about the fact that nothing can be fully trusted anymore. This is where things get interesting. Institutions built on the presumption of authentic evidence, courtrooms, newsrooms, stock markets, now have to build entirely new verification infrastructure, essentially from scratch, while the technology outpacing them keeps improving every quarter. Every thread, technological, legal, financial, personal, pulls tight at once. Picture the full scale of it, converging in real time. A finance team, mid-wire transfer, staring at a video call with a face they trust completely. A face built entirely from scraped footage, saying words it was never taught to mean, only to sound convincing. A courtroom where a defense attorney holds up two videos, identical to the human eye, and asks the jury, which one is real? And even the forensic expert on the stand needs specialized tools, not instinct, to answer. A newsroom, minutes from publishing a story built on video evidence, running it instead through a verification pipeline that didn't exist 3 years earlier, because the cost of being wrong just once could end the outlet's credibility for good. A family, sitting in front of a screen, watching a video of someone they love saying something that breaks their heart, and refusing, for weeks, to believe the forensic report telling them it was never real, because the video felt more true than the explanation. This is the convergence point. Technology built to entertain, now sitting at the center of finance, justice, journalism, and grief, all at once, all under-defended. And the fatal irony sits right in the middle of it. The very institutions built to protect truth, courts, banks, newsrooms, are the ones most structurally vulnerable, because they were built on the assumption that recorded evidence doesn't lie. That assumption held for 100 years. It took less than a decade of AI development to break it. What happened next would rewrite the rules of evidence itself. New laws are passed. New verification standards emerge. cryptographic content provenance tools designed to certify at the moment of capture that a photo or video is authentic, begin rolling out across major camera and phone manufacturers. Platforms adopt labeling systems. Courts develop new evidentiary standards for AI-generated material. None of it is a finish line. It's a patch on a system that will need patching again and again as the technology keeps evolving. But something deeper has already changed. Something no policy can fully repair. For the people who were personally targeted, the ones whose faces or voices were stolen and turned into evidence against a version of themselves that never existed, the vindication, when it comes, rarely comes fast enough. Reputations take years to rebuild. Some never fully do. For the rest of us, the cost is quieter, but just as real. A slow erosion of the reflex to trust what we see. A hesitation that didn't used to exist, now baked into every video, every call, every voice on the other end of the phone. Maybe that's the real inheritance of this technology. Not the fakes themselves, but the doubt they leave behind. Long after the video's been debunked and the headline's been retracted, the tools keep improving. The defenses keep racing to catch up. And somewhere, right now, another video is rendering 31 seconds, a face, a voice, a lie built pixel by pixel. The only question left is whether anyone will be watching closely enough to catch it before it spreads.